Hey guys, I'm Jeff Sheets. I'm the Director of Education at TrueFire. Welcome to this episode of TrueFire's Guitar Shed. Now, Guitar Shed is where we present you with some lessons we think you guys will dig, and they're taken from full-blown courses at TrueFire on different subjects and topics, and you can always find the full course when you follow the links below. Today we've got some cool things about soloing to share from amazing educators Andy Wood, Matt Schofield, and Ariel Posen. So we're going to start off with Andy Wood showing us how to play some fake slide parts. If you ever want to get that sort of Derek Trucks vocal quality to some of your solos and licks, but maybe you don't play slide like Derek Trucks, this is a great way to accomplish that. Check it out.
One of the things that I love about playing guitar is that the notes aren't just like a keyboard player, piano player. Don't tell piano players that. But like when they hit C, it's just they hit the key and then the hammer hits the string and that's what the note is, right? So on guitar, we have multiple options of how we want to play our notes. It can be as simple as G, right? But that doesn't sound like guitar, right? One of the things that sounds cool about guitar is putting all this stuff, all this inflection on the guitar is what makes it work. That's the things that makes guitar, it's got its cool factor, right? That's why you want to play guitar in high school, not piano. No offense to piano players. Sorry, I'm picking on you. So we're going to do some overviews on slides and hammer-ons and these types of things, vibratos and all these techniques. A lot of times when you see them in transcriptions, they look a little vanilla, right? It just has the line, and you hear somebody say, slide into this note, as if it's not the important part. Hit the note that's correct. That's the important part. In my opinion, all of our favorite players and all the guys we love in music, they didn't just hit notes. It wasn't just this vanilla thing of like, here is the harmony, that's the pitch, hit the string, it had all of this other stuff on it. You know, Stevie Ray Vaughan didn't play like, that's not how the dude played. That's super uncool sounding, right? So we're going to try to figure out how to get you self-aware and listening to yourself on these cooler aspects of the instrument. Let's just start with slides. Of course, it's as simple as putting your finger on the string and sliding into the note that you want, right? But this sounds very novice, right? Versus, right? That sounds seasoned. A lot of the things that I hear players play or say, especially in the days of the internet, people bicker online about he's got no feeling and this, that, and the other, and he plays too many notes or blah, blah, blah. A lot of the things that guys hear as no feeling or whatever is they're not hearing these techniques that are these inflection techniques that their ear and their palate may enjoy, right? So you have to be really mirroring and listening to yourself. I constantly say the term self-aware. If that's difficult for you, I suggest whipping out your smartphone or your iPad or getting on your computer and filming yourself and then listening back to what you sound like when you slide into a note. So, of course, you slide into a note like this. And that can be from a half step away, a whole step away, the other end of the fretboard. You know, you can slide down into it. That's one of my favorite things is I picked it up from listening to Dan Huff a lot. If he had a riff that was like, so Dan would slide in from a high point of the neck and slide into a lower note. So you hear how many little bitty slides are sneaking into lines like that. That's those are little tricks of playing. Instead of hitting a note twice, it's just little things like if you have 2 repeating notes, slide into the second one. So that's more of like that 80s pop thing, even into the 90s, you know, that really slick West Coast style of lead guitar. I loved that sound. And it's a way to get slides to add some color to a lead line that normally would be. Or, you know, those kinds of things. So I'm playing a guitar now that has tremolo on it. Guys like Jeff Beck and Jimmy Herring, they had the... You know, they could pull the bar and push the bar to get it to sound like a slide. A lot of times I'm playing guitars that don't have a trim, and I wanted to get really good faux slide sounds. So I got into what I can do with my hands to make this thing happen. So one of the things that I noticed that has to happen is you have to be very accurate when you're sliding across bigger distances. So we're going to be in the key of G, and we're going to do like one of the things I hear trucks do all the time is like up to the 4th of the scale, and then we're going to slide into the 3rd. So this is, I'm going to have to slow this down, and it's going to be very difficult for me, so bear with me here. So all of that is in one motion. I'm using some accent stuff in the right hand, but we're not going to focus on that at the moment. We're just going to focus on the left hand, the slide. We're sliding each individual note after the first hammer on. So those all happen where I'm controlling the slide, staying on the note, going to the next one. You know, one more time. These things all happen where I'm controlling the note and stopping on the target note and then continuing the slide. So these are all like those kind of like Allman Brothers, Southern Black Crowes-y kind of things that I love so much that these guys do with a slide on. One of the things that you just heard me do is this Statesboro blues kind of thing. So I'm actually treating my first finger as if the slide was on it. So I'm sliding down a whole step, but I'm trying to get, because it's the emulation of the way they would have to play that lick. And there's that same lick again, that little trucksism. And you can do this. There's a lot of cool ways that you can change the harmony. You can make it more of a minor pentatonic sound and start on your root and slide down and play root 7/5. That's very, very Southern sounding to me. And you'll see these really quick movements. Those are the slides that don't get enough attention in guitar playing, and the types of things that make, going back to the top of the lesson, that make you sound like a guitar player and not just a guy who's pressing notes and making harmony happen. That's very... You know, it's all very robotic sounding in comparison. Even if you had the versus there's a completely different sonic thing happening. And it's that little secret sauce, that little extra percentage that really separates a seasoned player versus one that is not delved into this type of material, not really taking the time to sit down with basic techniques and try to get as much out of them as possible. For this, I really recommend you filming yourself or listening to yourself and seeing where you're getting sticky in your slides and seeing what's getting hung up. It's really easy if you play guitars with big frets. Like, that's what I prefer. It's really easy to feel like the railroad ties are underneath your finger and they want to stop you. So if you have a really big slide, you have to really be conscious of getting over those frets, especially on those big jumps where you're jumping, 4 or 5 frets at a time. That's where you'll feel each individual railroad tie under your fingertip. So sit down, spend some hours with your slides. It will reward you in a good way.
Up next, Ariel Posen is going to show us how to think about building a solo just like you would think about filming a movie. Check this out.
All right, so what I want to talk about now is telling a story in your solo. And I think it's the most important thing you can do when you're improvising. It's basically what separates those from playing an instrument to playing music, you know? And you want to move people. You want to take them on a journey, as I said. Telling a story, to me, is more important than any kind of licks, any kind of fancy runs, any kind of crazy technical things. It comes from the heart, and it's honest, and it's pure. And the best way I can describe telling a story is treating it like a movie. So again, whether your solo is only 4, 8 bars, or 4 or 8 minutes, obviously it's easier if you have more time, think of it like a movie. So let's break down a movie. Basically, you start at Act 1, right? It's the introduction to the characters, the plot maybe, a little bit of stuff is going on. Okay, you sit on Act 1 for a while. Then Act 2, typically, there's some kind of conflict. And the conflict just has a different mood to it, a different scene, a different overall vibe. And then that third act is the climax. It's the resolution. And that's how we want to think of the solo. We want to think of an intro, conflict, potentially, and then resolution/climax. And that can be done in 2 minutes. It can be done in 20 minutes. That's what we're going for. So for example, one of the ways that I would do this, I would take the things we already talked about, building a theme, playing less, being cautious of your range. I would basically think of it like I was watching something. And if I was watching something, I don't want to come out the gate with anything, I would start very simply. And that might consist of my Act 1, per se, It might be simple. It might be an introduction. I would think of it as a way to intro the approach, intro the theme, so that you as the listener kind of hears it and goes, okay, so this is what I'm hearing. This is what we're dealing with here. This is this is the theme. And then by Act 2, I might, dynamically start digging in more. I might go from, I might start going, and that's introducing our conflict. That's introducing our next stage, our next tier. And then by that third one, resolution/climax, yeah, I'm going to be, by the end of it, kind of guns blazing, that kind of idea. I want to save it so that it feels like it's the big action set piece that you've earned and that you've waited an hour and a half for, you know? Not that the solo is going to be that long. But that's kind of the overall mindset for this approach.
Finally, on this episode of the Guitar Shed, Matt Schofield is going to show us how to transition between different parts of the neck by using a major pentatonic scale. He's going to show you how easy that is to be able to use it in multiple places and move from one spot on the neck to another. Check it out.
I wanted to just mention for a second that the sort of slightly overlooked major pentatonic scale is a really, really great scale to connect the fretboard for playing across the fretboard, connecting areas to each other, you know, so you might find yourself in a blues box position, and then you might be familiar with moving up to, say, the BB box here. But the major pentatonic is a great way of getting from one to the next with a nice flow. It fits beautifully across the changes and between the changes. So let's say we're down here. That took us up to the first position, but into the 4 chord. And that's just using a straight major pentatonic scale across the neck from C here to C there. It's a great position changer. Essentially, we're just going through all the octaves of C with the major pentatonic. Really, really useful way to get around the guitar, and it's sweet. It fits perfectly in the chords, and it connects the dots. Same applies. You can go to the 4 chord. So if we're on the 1 chord, to 4, and up to the 5. So just learning that across the neck like that, getting from C to C, F to F, G to G, on all of our changes on a blues in C, it's a very, very useful way of getting around.
Well, that's it for this episode of The Shed. Hopefully, you've picked up some cool stuff you can implement into your playing. So, until next time, remember you can always find the full courses that we pulled these lessons from by following the links below. Keep working out in the shed, and we'll see you on the next episode. I'm Jeff Sheets for TrueFire.